Hello there my Jedi and Sith friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars video. So today I've got a very exciting episode. We've got a pretty controversial news tidbit, but then we're also going to talk about the best Star Wars characters introduced by Disney. There's a viral list making the rounds, maybe for the wrong reasons because the choices are pretty controversial, so we're going to break it down and then I'll give you my list. So a lot of juicy stuff to discuss, but we have to begin with something which I can't believe Star Wars did after 7 years. A few weeks ago, and I did talk about it at the time, Lucasfilm released brand new versions of Secrets of the Sith and Secrets of the Jedi. I broke down some of what was said about Chimera in relation to Palpatine. But today, my friends, we're shifting gears to the light side, and in case you don't know, Secrets of the Jedi is written from the perspective of older Luke. But at the end of the new book, there is an epilogue written by Rey, and not only do they double down on the controversial ending of the film, in trying to explain it, if you don't like the sequel trilogy, they might just have made things worse. Here's what it says. My days spent with Master Luke were far too brief, but he taught me so much in such a short time. Reading his words, I'm reminded of why I sought him out in the first place, and why I was inspired to follow his path. I'm so grateful for the legends he's passed down, but in the end, the legends didn't do him any justice. It wasn't until I saw what he was capable of on Ahch-To, and heard stories of how he used the Force to hold off the First Order on Crate, that I finally knew what I had to do. I had to continue the fight and finish what he started. I had to stop Palpatine from rising again. I had to redeem Ben Solo. And so now, my friends, is where they mention the Skywalker name. She says, and to proudly wear my master's name while doing so, in honor of his life and his sacrifice. Just like every Jedi who came before him, Luke Skywalker may be gone from this plane, but he will live forever, because in the end, I am all the Jedi, and maybe we all are. So I think with the last couple of sentences, Lucasfilm was going for a message of positivity and inspiration, but doubling down on Rey being a Skywalker, and also keep in mind, it doesn't do much for the Mary Sue accusations, because Rey is saying that it doesn't matter all of these other Jedi are gone, she is now all the Jedi. They've just doubled down. But now, my friends, on to something a bit different. It's been a quiet time for Star Wars updates, but we did have this really insane list posted by /Film. Now I reckon they're just baiting us for clout, for engagement, for the clicks, and I suppose because I'm making a video about this, it worked. They got what they wanted. This has been making the rounds, and they said these are the top 15 best Disney Star Wars characters. Now you'll notice the absence of certain characters who are considered legacy. I've already seen people ask the question, where's Luke? Where's Leia? Where is even Ahsoka? But the reason they're not on this list is that this is just characters introduced by Disney. So it can't be characters who are brought back, it can't be Yoda, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Luke, Leia, Han, Padme, Boba Fett, you name it. These are all characters that Lucasfilm created under Disney, so post 2012. There are lots of names on this list that I do agree with, maybe not the order necessarily, and a couple of these picks just don't make any sense, and it's the omissions that I really want to focus on. So we're going to talk about this, and then I'm going to give you my list. But first, here are the picks from /Film. So they kick things off with Babu Frick, the Anzellan introduced in episode 9. Definitely a funny character, but right off the bat, I'm surprised he made the top 20, let alone the top 15. And number 14, an amazing new character from the Ahsoka show, Baylan. My problem with this is how far down the list he is, because every character we're going to talk about from here on out is ranked higher than him, when personally, in my opinion, he's one of the best Star Wars villains that Disney ever introduced. I'm simultaneously surprised that Shin isn't on this list. I guess it's all subjective. And number 13, Cal Kestis, another pretty strong pick in my opinion. And number 12, as a Rebels fan you know I approve, Ezra Bridger. And number 11, Finn. Fair enough, if you're a sequel fan. I would say the potential of Finn was stronger than the actual character himself. And number 10, this one, I'm actually very impressed they pulled, archaeologist Dr. Aphra. One of my personal favourites from the comics, but I don't know if I'd put her at number 10, and I certainly don't think she's a better character than Ezra, Cal, or Baylan. And number 9, K2SO. As a big fan of Rogue One, as a fan of Andor, he's a great and hilarious sidekick. But I'm amazed he's above some of these other picks, and I'm also surprised they don't include more Andor characters. In all fairness, the number 1 slot is Cassian, but Jyn Erso doesn't appear on this list, neither does Luthen, Clea, Vel, Director Krennic. There are so many no-brainers that I would have chosen, but again, tastes are subjective. Next up, they have Chimera from the Acolyte. This one is sure to be pretty controversial, but he was definitely not the worst part of that show. As a villain with his fighting style, with his presence, he was pretty badass. Next up, Hera Syndulla, then Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, and now we come on to the top 5. In 5th place, the mighty Kylo Ren. If the response to the cancelled Hunt for Ben Solo is anything to go off, he certainly has his fanbase. And even if you don't like the sequels, you have to admit, Adam Driver was great in the role. In 4th place, Grogu. Despite the recent Mandalorian and Grogu box office, you can't deny his pop cultural impact, and the fact he's been one of the faces of the Star Wars brand since 2019. In 3rd place, and this is one I do agree with, Kanan Jarrus. Arguably the epitome of what it means to be a Jedi, one of the very, very best. And then we come on to our top 2. In 2nd place, Rey. This is one of those where I probably had the same reaction to a lot of you guys, where I thought to myself, what in the world are they talking about? But Rey is one of those characters where her fans really do see her as the very best. It's a bit like the Kylo Ren situation. Fans of Rey are just never going to back down, and they're not going to be dissuaded. And in 1st place, respectable, I'm a fan of the show, Cassian Andor. At this point, my friends, he's had an insane amount of screen time, so I get it. But now for my list, and I don't know if I want to go about this in the same way, ranking it from worst to best. I'm just going to give you the 15 Disney-introduced Star Wars characters that I consider the cream of the crop. In no particular order, here we go. So I've been aching and itching to say Saw Gerrera, but then I realised, hang on a minute, he was actually introduced under George Lucas. He might have appeared in Rebels, The Bad Batch, Fallen Order, Andor, Rogue One, but his introduction in the Clone Wars predates Disney, just about, so I'm not going to say Saw. Instead, let's go with Luthen. Stellan Skarsgård gave the most insane, amazing performance. One of the most morally complex characters in the entire saga. I'm always so baffled when he's omitted from these kinds of lists. So right off the bat, I'm going to say Luthen. Then Clea Markey, Vel Sartha, Sabine Wren. Say what you will about the Ahsoka show, but she had an amazing arc in Rebels. Then I'm going to go with Fennec Shand. Then Baylan, Shin. I have to throw Grogu into the mix. Kanan Jarrus. And I'm also going to give some love to the Bad Batch by including Omega. She was one of my favourite animated characters. Some of you might remember my theories during the Bad Batch's 1st season. I cannot wait to see what happens with her next. Then I'm going to go with Jyn Erso. Now I think we need another villain, so I'm going to say the Grand Inquisitor. Again, in live action in the Kenobi show he was okay, I guess, but in animation, be it Rebels, Tales of the Empire, he kicks ass. Now for my last 3 picks, I think we're going to have to go with some droids. I'm amazed no one has mentioned Chopper. At this point he's got to be one of my all-time favourites. Then I'm going to go with K2SO, and then finally, because I'm a big Skeleton Crew fan, I have to give it to SM33. Can't say I've ever heard of no AT-ATin. So those are just some of my picks right off the old noggin. They're just the characters introduced by Disney. If it was generally, you guys know I'd be saying Yaddle, Luke, Ayla Secura, Obi-Wan, R2-D2, C-3PO, but we're just talking about those that were created under the mouse. But now I turn it over to you guys. Share your thoughts on everything we spoke about, the news tidbit, the list by /film, and why not tell me your picks? Comment them down below. And if you enjoyed this one, my dear friends, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and may the Force be with you, always.